Anita, how's your mental health?
Questionable at all times. You know this.
Yeah, how's the mental health of your children?
Also a little bit tricky. Can I tell you my experience in trying to find therapists for myself and my kids, Mel?
Yes, please.
Okay, this is how it goes. You ask around your friends and your family for a referral for somebody who's nearby. You finally find somebody who sounds like they might work for your family. You give them a call and you find out that A, they're not accepting new patients, or B, they have a huge wait list. So you start over again and you ask people if they know anybody who would be a good therapist and a good fit. Finally, you find one, you go and you meet with them, and you figure out that you don't actually like them that much. But it's been so much work to find somebody who you can go to in your area that you're kind of stuck with them. Well, do you have any ideas for how to get around this?
I do because guess what? I've actually had some therapists that I have found on my own, which involves what you're saying. Sometimes I remember one time I was like 3 hours in the bathtub on my phone looking
Yeah.
through websites. I was such a prune at the end. But I have also had the experience with working with BetterHelp. And it was like, I don't want to say too good to be true, but because it is true, but it's like amazing because I was matched with my therapist within 24 hours.
And you didn't have to go through all of that other ridiculous process of trying to find somebody. And here's the cool thing too, is if that person didn't work out for you, you can just switch and say, and it's not like you're committing to another years long search for somebody who you're going to jive with.
It's true. And I lucked out, or maybe just BetterHelp is really good at matching people together because I never had to change my therapist. I loved her. Perfect fit for me. And I know that some of our friends have used BetterHelp and they've had to change therapists, and boom, same day, you can change.
Easy peasy.
You can ghost your therapist. Get a new one.
I love this idea. BetterHelp is one of our sponsors. If you use our promo code trybetterhelp.com/WWDN, you get 10% off your first month. And we totally recommend it.
Yes, get some therapy. That's trybetterhelp.com/WWDN. Hi, Anita.
Hola, Mel. Welcome.
Bonjour.
Welcome back from afar.
Thank you. I just returned from New York City.
And she's loving her life again, back in her cave.
You guys, re-entry is a thing.
Mm-hmm.
I really appreciate that at the Camp Widows that we've gone to, that they have a talk with everybody before they leave about, okay, now you're going to go home, and now you're going to go back to your real life, and it's going to be hard.
Yeah. Well, Mel, I have some news to share with you also.
Okay, let's have you go first.
My news is that I have COVID. So welcome to COVID town. I'm pretty sure this is the 11th time we've had it at our house, but really, I've had it now twice, and I'm getting real sick of COVID. Can it just go away?
Yeah, you've not had a great week.
Yeah, actually, right after we recorded last week, I tested my son, who had had a fever, and he was positive. And I was like, oh, crap. And then 2 days later, I started getting sick, too. So,
You've been in bed.
yeah, they say that the newer varieties, that sounds like apples or, something like that, aren't as bad, but I've been more sick this time than I was last time, so I don't know. There's no sense in the world.
Nope, there sure is not.
Yes.
Well, I'm glad you're able to at least talk to me today.
Yeah, I feel a lot better today. The last couple days it was not great, but now I feel pretty good now.
For Anita to be in bed and not be able to do her exercise things is like
a big deal.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah. That's when you know she is not well.
Yeah. I haven't done anything since Tuesday. I haven't worked out at all.
Oh my, wow.
I know.
Wow.
I know.
Well, I just got back from New York, like we said, and
you got to do something that was really fun.
Yeah, twice. I've roller skated thanks to Amy. Amy Hartman Martell. I feel like I talk about you every time on here. But she's our roller skate muse, and she told me about how they turned the Rockefeller Center ice skating place into a roller skating place until October. So I went twice. The first day was like hilarious because nobody knew how to skate. And so they were falling everywhere and there were little kids everywhere. And my friend and I were like, we are leaving at the end. And we ran away. And then I went last night, which was like later on Saturday night. So it was people that were like maybe former roller derbyers or like rhythm skaters. Go look it up if you don't know what it is. It's the best. And it was so fun. And they had the best outfits. So yeah, I did that. That's not why I went to New York. I went to go work a choir and a band festival. And I was the announcer.
Really?
Welcome to the 2022 Heritage Music Festival at beautiful Riverside Church, Anita.
I was so excited that you sent me the list of the carillonneurs, players of the carillon.
Yeah, I don't even know what that is.
Aren't those the bells? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but they had like a list of all of the people who had played that thing at that
and
church.
The organists.
Yeah.
Riverside Church is really cool. It has a cool history. Also, you guys can go look it up. I don't really know that much, and I don't care to talk about it because I'm tired, and I had to get up at 2 a.m. to get home.
Well, I want to talk to you about something else that happened this week too, Mel.
What?
When I was feeling sick and it was time to go to bed, I had a freak out fest, and I want to tell you about it because I think that maybe some other people have had this happen to them too. So I'm laying there, I'm trying to go to bed, it's like midnight, and I'm thinking of all of the ways I could die in the night.
But not on purpose.
Not on purpose, no. But I was like, why do I assume that I'm going to be alive in the morning? Like, all the evidence shows that that's not guaranteed. And then because we do this stupid podcast, I was like...
Oh my gosh, it is not stupid.
It wasn't.
Take it back. Take it back.
I was like, I could die of a brain aneurysm, an aortic dissection. I could die of cardiac arrest, of a heart attack. I could die of a pulmonary embolism. I could die of SUDEP. I was thinking of all of the ways that I could die suddenly and without warning. And it was like, I was freaking myself out.
I'm worried for you. Because that all could have given you a heart attack just because you were stressed about it.
See?
Yeah.
And then I was thinking about my kids and how sad they would be and how that would be such a ripoff to lose both of their parents. And then I was thinking of the people who I have designated to take care of my kids. And I was like, how are they going to survive? And I think like part of it was I just wasn't feeling good. But then, I mean, like, I think the anxiety following loss is pretty common. I haven't had anything that significant ever all at once before, though. It was not pleasant.
Yeah, that seemed pretty intense, even for you, Anita.
Yeah.
I mean that with love.
I know. Well, usually
you don't have all of that. Like, you can
yeah,
manage it, but it sounded like it kind of got away from you.
Yeah.
And, well, when you're not feeling good and you have, like, COVID, come on.
Right.
That's been a pandemic. You have the thing. We have friends whose person has died from it.
Exactly.
We try to fight for our friends who have people telling them that it was fake.
That it was
there's a lot.
Snake poison in the medicine that they gave them.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Like, I can see how the anxiety plus you having COVID and not feeling well
Yeah.
added to that. What did you do? Did you take like a anxiety thing or anything?
I didn't, because I felt so crappy. I just didn't want to get out of bed. So eventually I just fell asleep. But I just laid there thinking about all of the stupid scenarios that were, going to happen. But guess what?
What?
Still alive. Didn't happen. None of them.
Yeah, you're still here. And yeah, do
Still
you remember
here.
what I told you?
No.
Why you weren't going to die and I knew it?
Oh, because only the good die young.
Yeah.
Jerk.
Haha, you're welcome. Well, I think that's such a common thing that we've heard from our friends, especially those that have younger kids. Mm-hmm. Right? That's like the number one anxiety is I cannot die because I have kids and they cannot lose their other parent.
Yeah, think of how traumatic that would be. It'd be the worst. So,
Yeah.
I mean, when you've lost somebody, you realize that we're not guaranteed that one of these super strange things isn't going to happen. Even though statistics say it's not going to happen, we've all seen that statistics are bogus.
We probably a lot of us thought that our person would not get glioblastoma or COVID because nobody knew what COVID was because it wasn't a thing for a while, right? Or something. Or I didn't know that my husband would die following a tonsillectomy. Like that's we're all part of the statistic of, we're on that other side.
Yeah.
So I think it's valid and it makes sense why the concern is there. So
there you go.
There you go.
Mm-hmm.
When you first said you were lying there thinking of ways to die, I was like, and then there's the kidless widows or the people who are passively suicidal that are like, it could go this way or this way, that are just like, I'm trying to survive, because that's very real too.
Yeah.
Like finding the will to still go on.
Yeah.
We've talked about that before, how it's not being actively suicidal. And of course we want to always approach a topic that involves the word suicide with care. So just wishing you could, quote, get hit by the bus is what we're talking about.
Yeah. Or that you did not wake up.
Yeah.
That one of those weird things did happen to you. And I was not feeling that way. I was feeling scared that I was going to die. Not like wishing or wouldn't mind if that did happen.
Yeah.
Sometimes we assume that unless we had a huge life insurance payout, we don't really need to know anything about investments or even finances. But guess what? A little knowledge of finances is critical for all of us. Maybe your partner was in charge of that stuff, and now you find yourself making all the decisions. Maybe you're mad about that. Maybe I am. Nicole from the He's Gone But the Money's Not podcast is here to help. She tackles financial literacy by telling the stories of women and widows and finance experts, and shares the lessons they've learned as certified financial planners. Whether you know a lot and feel confident in your financial decisions or feel unsure about all of that stuff, there is more to learn. Listen and subscribe to the He's Gone But the Money's Not podcast on all podcast platforms. This ad was paid for by Rockhouse Financial, an SEC-registered investment advisor.
You had the anxiety. Oh man.
Yeah.
You guys, we're there with you. It's a long road, but we have each other. That feels so cheesy, but it's so true.
It is true.
So speaking of community, please join us in the Widow Wives Club.
It's a private group on Facebook. We love the people in there. They're just really, really amazing.
You guys, the whole group is full of the spectrum of ways that people have died and situations, and they're not always lovey-dovey. Not everybody had a great relationship with their person. Sometimes they maybe found out that they were cheating or had secret lives, or there was scandal involved, or in cases where the person died by suicide, that always comes with a lot of intense extra things that our widows and widowers that have sustained that have been feeling. So you might notice that we don't have a lot of episodes on those complicated topics. It's because they're sensitive topics that people have to want to talk about. So just know, if you're like, why aren't they talking about those things? We would love to, if there's somebody who is comfortable enough sharing their story. So until then, we're there for you in the Widow Wives Club, and people who have similar circumstances, you can find them, even if you think that we're just a podcast with people who really love their husbands and then they died and everything was peachy and keen before that. So not true. There's everything under the sun under there. So please join us in there. It's on Facebook. Please fill out all the questions. We go through everything to make it a safe group. And guess what now? I announced this week.
It's a big
I've
announcement.
been working on it for months.
Uh-huh.
When my dad died, it threw a wrench in my timeline. So thanks to the beta testers that have helped me kind of figure this thing out once it was ready. But we now have, drum roll, Anita, you can tell everybody.
Mel has made an app for us. So if you go to the App Store on your preferred device, you can find the Widow We Do Now app. And Mel, do you want to tell them what's in the app?
Freaking everything ever. You want to know why? Because we all have widow brain, and some of our stuff's on Facebook, some's on Instagram, some's on YouTube, some's on just our site. It's all in the app. So if you don't know where to find the podcast, well, you obviously do if you're listening right now. But if somebody else doesn't, they can get the app. It's there. It's free. You can click a link to get to the Widow Wives Club, you can click a button in the app to get to the Instagram page, to videos. We're putting blog articles up there from some of our widows. That's a work in progress. And as time goes along, there will be more fun things to be added. So check it out. It's free. Again, if you have an Apple device, it's in the iTunes store. If you have an Android device, it's in the Google Play Store. It's free for all. And you can even sign up for Patreon and buying tacos in there if you want. It's like, seriously, everything.
And just FYI, it asks for your location, but not so that we can scam you, and we're the only ones who have that information. It's just so we can give you up-to-date information about local meetups and also time zone information.
Yeah, that's for Liz. That's for you, Liz, in Australia.
Yeah, that's complicated stuff.
It totally is. Yeah, so it will ask you for a notification. You can say only allow while using the app, and that helps you to have information, like Anita said, about like when Zoom hangs are and things like that, time-sensitive information. And the other thing is you can sign up to have a chat with people in there. But the thing about it is, this is going to get techie and nerdy, and so I won't super go into it. Because Apple has the monopoly on everything ever and the say on everything ever, unless you're an app like Facebook, Instagram, Discord, Slack, one of those, you cannot have the capabilities of group chats and sharing photos. So I could go in and add the code, but they would take our app down. So you can message people one-on-one in the chat in there, but you cannot do a group text. So group text, you can still do messages and stuff in the Widow Wives Club, but I'm in there. My name is Melonious Funk. You can one-on-one chat me if you want. And please allow for notifications. Literally, I am the only one triggering anything in there, and all it's done so far is just let you know if you have a chat from somebody, and that's it. But we want you guys to be notified in case there's something important. The notifications is just so you can see the chat if somebody chats you. If you download the app, you can see the region of those who have enabled their location, but you can turn your location off at any time.
So can you see all of the people if you want, like if I wanted to send Liz a message and she downloaded the app, would I be able to find her, or would I need to know her username?
Yeah, there's this tab in there and it says users. People just usually put their name on there. Here's the deal. If somebody is a user in there, they do have the capability to send you a message. You do not have to respond. Nobody can see if you've read a message or not. So that's an option for you. But yeah, I think for the most part, it'll be helpful for people to find the podcast and to be connected with other things. So yeah.
Good job, Mel. This has taken a lot of work. And Mel, I have a prize for you for completing the job.
What is it?
I'm not going to tell you.
Is it an apex gorilla silverback?
No, it is not. But close.
Then I'm not interested.
Fine, whatever.
Guess what, Anita? You were sick last week. I ate deviled eggs on Easter, like 10 of them. They had real devils in them because I was puking.
You needed an exorcism of deviled eggs.
Totally did, but
you did have one.
Thanks to I have one new friend now. Her name is Lindsay, and she reached out to me on behalf of the autism community. Oh, so thank you.
I thought you were going to say because of the deviled egg community, which probably there is one for that.
I wonder if she likes deviled eggs.
Probably.
I don't know. So thank you. I wasn't sure if it was a mistake to announce that because I hadn't heard anything from anyone. So Lindsay, thank you for welcoming me and helping me to know that I didn't do something wrong.
Oh.
Thanks.
I didn't think you did anything wrong. All right, Mel. If you want to keep the podcast going, will you check out our Patreon? You can find the link on the app. It's patreon.com/WWDN.
And again, the app, you type in Widow We Do Now in the App Store and you'll get it. Yes, if you would like to support the podcast, you can do it via Patreon if you so choose. Patreon is a platform that supports, what are we called?
Podcasters?
Creators. Patreon is a platform that supports creators, and it helps us to keep the podcast going so that we can then get the word of the widow into more people's ears and help them know that they are not alone. So thank you to those who have supported us so far. We have 4 tiers available for our Patreon, starting at just $5 a month and up. And with each tier, you get different features.
And at the Widow Bestie and up, you get a shout out. So we're going to do the Widow shout out right now.
And you want to know what else you get?
What?
Freaking ad free.
Oh, Yeah, I forgot.
We've had a lot of changes lately.
I know.
Ad-free at the Widow Bestie level and up. A new app. Whew.
Lots going on here in the widow world.
Well, let's do the shout out. Here we go.
We're going to start with our secret dead husband. And to her, we say, and the parents will appreciate this one, or not. We don't talk about widows. No, no, no. We don't talk about widows. Just kidding, we do.
What was that song?
That's from Mel, I cannot believe it. It's from Encanto.
Why would I have seen it?
Well, you might not have seen it.
Isn't it Encanto?
You might not have seen it, but like everybody sings that song. It's everywhere right now.
I know the song that everyone sings right now. A, B, C, D, E, F, widows.
That's sad. Okay, next we have
Constance Dahlbeck.
David Kelly.
Don Satterwhite.
Gail Bell.
Ivan the Misner.
Kat.
Krista Waite.
Maya Glasser.
Sam Finlayson.
Amber Vela.
Amy Hartman Martell.
Amy Neal.
Amy Sapp.
Ashley Hahn.
Barbara Schneeberger.
Good job. Brittany Pedro.
Chris Steffen.
Christina Shiflett.
Danielle Catterberg.
Not a Debbie Downer.
I still have my book me in my book, Deb.
Aw.
Dennis Brazo. Are you alive?
I know, Dennis. What's up? We haven't heard from you lately. Jean Marie Massey.
Jenny Taylor.
Jennifer Beal.
Jennifer Brown.
Jennifer E. Hassel.
Jenny Wang.
Kathy Murray.
Kelly Ford.
Kirsten Stromberg Clausen.
Lauren Old.
Leslie Webb.
Auntie Marie Hoffman.
M.K. Anderson.
Our daughter Missy.
Patricia Weist.
The Norwegian.
We know it for sure now. We have communicated back and forth at least 11 times. There you go.
Rachel Barbosa.
Woo woo. Sarah Morris.
Sue Golek.
Sylvia Shore.
Taylor Snyder.
Karen Cornejo.
Vicky Spitt.
Anna Tracy.
Christina Scambato.
Christine Anderson.
Cindy Raynaud.
Dawn Barber.
Debbie Fells.
Deborah Westwood.
Diana Becker.
Emily Toledo.
Eric Vandermeulen.
Eric, why haven't we seen more tulip pictures? Aaron Posick.
Gabe Lozano.
Gia Benoit.
Gina Haas.
Ian Sini.
Ileana Belly Dancer Ruiz.
That's the best. Jackie.
The Jane.
Jenny Armstrong.
Jenny Barrow.
Jocelyn Milo.
Julie Stevenson.
Karina Jacobo.
Katie Radcliffe.
Kara Scara.
Kevin Ferry, welcome.
Chris Morgan.
Laura Bradbury.
Laura Keeley.
Yeah, Lindsay Konopka.
Lori Farrington.
Marjorie Lewis.
Mary McGowan.
Megan Montague.
Melissa Bowers.
Melissa Hancock.
Peter Rukavina.
The Zebra of Becky.
Sarah Kennedy.
She knows where tacos are in the UK.
Good.
Just thought you should know.
I'd-
Stacey Saywert.
Sunshine Haven.
Tammy Teravist.
Tara Wallace.
Judy Malkin. Yes.
Next we have the Valerie Back to Cross Country Packer.
Back to cross country. She is coming back to us. I can't wait. And finally, last but not least, start spreading the Wendy.
Remember how that was like the cream cheese? Like I associate that song with Philadelphia cream cheese, which doesn't make any sense.
Oh, weird.
Don't you remember their commercials that had that?
I remember Grey Poupon.
Didn't you think that that was like the fanciest thing when you were like a little kid?
Yeah.
And now you're like, it's mustard.
Like, I want someone to drive up to me in a Rolls Royce and offer me mustard.
Thank you to everybody who supports us on the Patreon. We are so, so grateful for your support.
If you would not like to join Patreon but would like to help support the podcast, please consider buying us tacos at buymeacoffee.com/widow we do now, which is also in the app.
Yay! And guys, if you have not taken a chance to rate and review the podcast, will you please do it? We have way more listeners than we have reviews, so something could happen there to change that.
Yeah, and I know where you live because I have analytics.
Okay, that was scary. Just please give us a nice rating and review. That'd be great. Thanks.
Yeah,
okay.
not a mean one, please. We have feelings. We're just trying to get out of bed.
All right, shall we get to our episode?
Yes, I love this lady. She is like sunshine on the planet.
Yay, let's do it. I'm Anita.
I'm Mel.
We're two young widows living the widow life, trying to figure out widow.
We
do
now.
This episode is brought to you by the Misner Family Foundation in memory of Elisabeth Misner. Oh, this is an exciting day.
It is. It's going to be a great day, and I think we have already shocked our next guest.
I know. She wanted to back away slowly, but we had her trapped, so she can't.
But she looks super cute and fun, and we cannot wait to hear her story. So everybody, please make welcome Rebecca Johnson.
Hi!
Welcome!
I'm so excited.
Good. Rebecca, do you want to tell us where you're coming at us from?
North Carolina.
What part of North Carolina?
In the middle.
In the middle.
You can't get any more in the middle than my city and my county in North Carolina.
Excellent. I love North Carolina accents. They're the cutest.
You would think that it would get me more dates, but it doesn't.
No.
No.
Maybe you need to be out of North Carolina, and then you'll get more dates.
That actually works best for me.
That's a good point, Mel, because when you're in North Carolina, you just sound like everybody else.
I'm just like everybody else. But when I'm out of North Carolina, I'm like a unicorn.
Yeah.
What do you call a shopping cart?
A buggy.
Yeah,
Yay!
That's my favorite. Come visit us in Utah, and everybody will love your accent.
Rebecca, what do you do with yourself? Do you have a job? Are you a secret agent? I mean, what?
I do have a job. I work full time, and I also go to school full time.
Ooh, for what?
Business administration and human resources. Because I am a sucker for other people's problems.
Aw.
So you're going to school for business administration and human resources, or that's what you do?
That's what I'm going to school for.
Excellent.
Is it okay if we ask you your age?
I'm 45.
Okay.
Okay, Rebecca. You're only here for one reason and one reason alone. And I hate to break it to you. It's not because of your cute accent or your cute smile or anything like that. It's because you have lost a person.
Yes.
Do you want to tell us about that person?
We met at work. Our first date was actually a joke. Somebody was trying to get me to cover their shift. He happened to be sitting beside me, and I said, "No, I can't." I said, "Me and Tom have plans that day." And he's like, "We do?" And I said, "Yeah, you were going to take me to the movies." And he's like, "Oh, yeah, I was going to take you to the movies." And she said, "I didn't know you guys were dating." And I said, "He didn't either." And so it was just a joke. And I said, "Thanks for having my back. I really didn't want to work." And, I just felt like I needed an excuse to say no. So then the day came, and I was like, I'm going to call him. So I did. And I said, "Hey, did you maybe really want to go to the movies?" And he said, "Did you really want to go to the movies?" And I said, "Why not?" And he said, "Okay, I will come pick you up." So I made it super easy for him. We went to the dollar movie for just $1. He bought me lemon heads, and he even paid for my aunt's ticket that happened to be in the line. So he spent a whole $3 for movies, probably $5 for lemon heads. And it was the cheapest, best date he ever had in his life.
I love that story.
It's the best story. How long ago was that? I mean, Are there even dollar movies anymore? I feel like they're now $1.99 movies or something. Inflation, you know.
Yeah, no, this was 1998 or 99. Yeah.
Okay. Oh man, so he was up for going on this impromptu made up date,
Yes.
and you guys hit it off immediately and then started going on real dates that were more than $3.
And your aunt was not a part of these dates?
No, she wasn't a part of those days. Yeah, but no, then we started seeing each other and it just went from there. He was great.
Well, so what happened?
Well, actually, we were living in Kentucky at the time, that's where he is from. And we were just in transition to move back to North Carolina. So we were renting there. We had a house here. I was spending most of my time in North Carolina. So I would just travel back and forth because I work remotely. So I have that capability. And it just so happens that month, he didn't give his notice to his job, but he gave notice to where we were renting. He already had half of the house packed up, ready to go. And I was actually supposed to catch a flight because we were going to travel back on Memorial Day weekend. I think it was Memorial Day weekend. And he said, no, he said, don't fly in yet. He said, wait one more week. He said, I have an opportunity. I can do some overtime. He said, so let me get this overtime. So my last check will be a really good check. And I was like, okay. So I put off the trip. So we have this thing that in the mornings, the first person texts, like whoever gets up first sends the text. And it also ended up kind of being a game because one person wanted to beat the other to the good morning text. And it was a Saturday. It was the day before Mother's Day. And I didn't get a text. And I thought, well, he did say he was going fishing. And I was cleaning the house, just making room for, all of our clothes and things to come from Kentucky. And I sent another text and he didn't text. So then I called. And I was like, well, surely if he's fishing, he's not going to have his phone on. And it wasn't even maybe by 10 o'clock, I felt that something was wrong. Like I could tell, like there's a reason why he's not messaging me back. Like, did I think he was dead? No, but maybe hurt or broken down on the side of the road. I don't know. I don't know. When you're worried about stuff like that, you never think of like, who's the right person to contact? Like, who do I call? Who would I have go over there? So I called his nephew. He goes over. I asked him to go over there. I call back. He didn't go. And I said, I need you to go. Because at this point, I was really getting anxious. And I feel like I'm getting anxious again, just talking about it. He went over there and he said, well, I knocked on the door. He didn't answer. And I said, well, is the car there? Is the truck there? Is the motorcycle there? And he's like, yeah. He said, but the dog didn't bark. And I said, oh, maybe he's at the dog park. He went down there. He wasn't at the dog park. So then he wasn't helpful to me at all. And then of course, I can't think of a single relative, and his entire family is there. I can't think of a single relative in my mind to call. So I call my sister-in-law that lives here in North Carolina. What do I do? And she said, you're calling me? And she goes, I'm not even, I said, I know, but who do I call? Like, I don't know. I'm worried. She said, you need to do a well check. And I said, you really think so? She said, do a well check. And as soon as she said that, I think I knew. Like, I think I already knew that something bad had happened. So I called one of his nieces, and she actually stayed on the phone with me the entire time. She got there. She was behind the police. She followed the police. They knocked on the door. he didn't come. They asked for permission to, you know, break in. And I said, yeah. And then they noticed that a window was open. They went in through the window, and I don't know what they were saying to my niece, but she started screaming, and then they put me on the phone, and
Oh my gosh.
that was, I wasn't even there when it happened, but he was asleep in the recliner.
I think that so many people can relate to how you just said that just talking about it brings back some of those feelings of anxiety and dread. Even, I talk about my story a lot, and still when I replay it, I start feeling those feelings too. And so I don't think that's abnormal or weird at all. And it's kind of hard to remember that. So thank you for going through that, even though it was hard.
And also, I can relate to being a state away because my husband died in a different state than I was in at the time. And I remember in the morning I texted him, and he had surgery. He wasn't just like packing up, and totally fine. But I was like, it's kind of weird. He's not responding. And then I remember, as you're telling your story, I'm remembering my story and what I sent him. And like, why is he not responding? I just sent the best dog picture ever. So I'm so sorry. And I'm so sorry that you also have the memories from your niece screaming. It's like your worst fear is confirmed.
Yeah, you can hear everyone like talking, but then no one's talking to me. Like the phone is down, and I hear, like, I still don't really know what's happening. I mean, at that point, he could just be hurt. Like maybe he could have been laying in the floor hurt. And then the officer got on the phone, and he said, just so you know, he said, we came in, he said, he's unresponsive. He said the paramedics worked on him or whatever, and they said that, they pronounced him dead.
How long ago has it been?
It will be 4 years in May.
Okay. And how old was he?
51.
51. So he was a little bit older than you?
He was 10 years older than me.
That darn cheapskate, only spending $3 when he was an older guy. Oh man. So you're now a widow, and you're moving from one state to the next. What do you do with your life at that point in time?
It took me a while to even be able to grieve, because literally 6 weeks after he passed away, I was diagnosed with a rare eye cancer. So
what?
I was diagnosed with a rare eye cancer, ocular melanoma. So I had to basically put my grieving on hold in order to take care of myself. So I ended up having my eye removed shortly after, 2 days before his birthday. Then I ended up still having to have radiation treatment, and then so the first year after that was nothing but hospital visits, scans, recovery from cancer. And it was maybe about a year, almost a year after he passed away, I really started to get a lot of anxiety, and I was just crying all the time. And I couldn't remember, I couldn't understand what, sometimes I was crying for him. Sometimes I was crying about my eye. Sometimes I was crying about my godson, who had just recently passed away before my husband. It was just so much going on. And so I did end up going to see a therapist, and she was helpful to a degree. She explained to me that I was going through multiple bereavement process, where I didn't grieve properly for each thing. And she kind of helped me work through some grieving steps. for each scenario that I was going through.
Who took care of you during this whole process? I mean, you just kind of went through that like, oh yeah, and then I had my eye removed and then there was some radiation and all of that stuff. That's a huge deal. And
Yeah.
you just lost your person who would have held your hand through all of that. And even the mundane things like taking you to doctor's appointments, driving you home from the hospital, signing forms for you.
Yes.
Who did that for you?
Luckily I have some really good friends. Like I'm very blessed in that I have really good friends. My best friend was the main person that took care of me during that time, and she lived right next door to me because I owned a duplex, so that was perfect. She was also my grieving buddy because her son had passed away. So we were each other's. I know, doesn't this just get better? She was my grieving partner. So we were there for each other when other people couldn't understand those parts. And then as far as my cancer, I didn't keep track of a lot of it. I had another really good friend that she took me to every single appointment, every scan, every appointment. She knew my doctors better than me. And even till this day, she still takes me to all my scans. She takes me to any appointments related to my eye. And I can go myself, but she doesn't let me. She's still there for me every single step. And then my best friend, even now that I've moved, she still lives right next door to me. And I tell her about the podcast and some of the stories, and yeah, she loves it too.
She's going to listen to yours, right?
Probably.
What's her name?
Her name is Angie.
Let's say hi.
Hi, Angie.
Hi, Angie.
Thanks for being a good friend to Rebecca.
Yes. Everybody in Rebecca's life that is good to her, thank you.
Yes.
I couldn't do it without her. She's my rock.
So tell us how your cancer status is now. It sounds like you're just doing routine scans to make sure nothing's coming back.
Yep. Right now it's NED, so no evidence of disease. And I go get scans currently every 6 months just to make sure nothing's metastasizing. And
how scary is that cancer? I've never heard of that cancer. Is it have a good prognosis, or was it like super scary? I mean, it was of course super scary, but
yeah, I don't know all the statistics because I really try.
You didn't Google it?
Oh, I Googled it.
Oh, okay.
It was rare to Google also.
Oh yeah, I Googled it, and I scared myself, and even my ocular oncologist, after I did a whole day of tests, at the very end, he said, "Okay, what did you Google?" And I said, "Well, I Googled that it's rare. Only about 2,500 people in the United States are diagnosed with it a year. Depending on the size of the tumor, your eye is removed, and it has a high mortality rate. It can metastasize, and there's no cure for it." And he's like, "Okay, you're good, but let's don't Google anymore." And I'm like, "Okay, let's don't do that." So yeah.
Oh my goodness.
I have a question, if this is okay to ask.
Yeah.
When eye removal happens, you get a glass eye, most likely, right? And then are you allowed to drive?
Yes.
Okay. So even though you can only see...
I'm not very good at it. I do drive. My son made me upgrade my vehicle to have some more safety features. So I have no depth perception. So parking and stop signs, stoplight.
Just those little things. Not so good at. Not running into other cars. You know, cars have all sorts of features now. So you just get some features and go along your merry way.
I need the braking thing, definitely.
So you mentioned that you have a son. Did you have this son with Tom?
No, he wasn't, but he did raise my son from age 6. So in all purposes, that was his dad. Yeah.
I'm just sad for all of the things you've had to go through already. Oh my gosh.
And I'm not even done. It gets worse.
Okay, what's next? What happens next?
Well, my brother just passed away in October.
Oh, man. She says with a smile, she's like, I'm really good at this by now, you guys.
But like, isn't that totally how it goes? It's just like this stuff keeps happening and it's like we laugh at it and everybody thinks we're crazy, but also we're laughing because we're just like, are you even kidding that this is real life?
That's the only way I can get through it.
That's like how I've been. My husband's dead, and then a couple months ago, one of our dogs got murdered, and then a month later, my dad died, and then a month after that, then the other dog died, and now we're here. It's just like someone the other day was like, "You're saying this with a lot of glee." I'm like, "No, I just am like, this is what happened." Now, have you ventured into the dating scene since his passing?
Yes, I have.
Let's talk about it.
Okay.
I don't know if I'm prepared.
I know. Do I need to go take a Klonopin?
Maybe we should have a glass of wine.
Rebecca.
Yes.
I'm curious to know what not made you, but what you realized or what signals there were that helped you to realize that you wanted to date again or that maybe you were ready to try dating again.
Dating is what I'm currently, well, I don't, it just depends. Dating means something totally different now than it did when I dated in high school or before my husband.
Or when you tricked your husband into dating you. It's harder to do that now.
Yes. I mean, there's no more dollar movies, so I'm not a cheap date anymore.
But I mean, like, you can do catfishing now. Like, that's a whole new genre of tricking people into dating you.
Yeah, I can lure them in with, a cheap opportunity. I mean, I'm easy. Just a movie and some tacos and like $20 tops.
Yeah, how did you start dating? Did you do online dating? Were you asking around for friends to introduce you? Like, how were you dealing with that with your grief as well? Because that's a big step.
Well, first of all, none of my friends in almost 4 years, not a single friend has offered to hook me up with anyone. They don't.
They're very smart.
I was going to say, is that a good thing or a bad thing?
I feel like maybe it's a good thing because, they just tell me, oh, you're just so amazing. And I just don't have anyone that can just meet up to those expectations. And I'm thinking, I'm just a normal person like everybody else. So sometimes I don't know if I'm offended or if I feel flattered.
I bet they're so protective of you because you're amazing and you've been through so much. I'm on the side of the friends. Good job, friends. Keep doing awesome.
The other thing that's maybe nice is that nobody was pushing you towards that, because I know that we get that sometimes, like, hey, I've got this guy, and you get set up and you're like, I'm not interested in that right now. But it seems like once you signal that you're maybe open to it, that, they could throw you a bone if they had one. But I think it can go either way.
Yeah. So I think dating just depends on the stage of grief that you're in. Like, I am almost 4 years in, and I am just now willing to open up enough to let someone come into my home. So for me, that's just a big deal. Like, do I want to get married again? I don't know. Do I want to live with you? I don't know. Probably not. Like, I don't want that level of commitment, but I am willing to actually open up and make room for someone else in my life. But in the beginning, it wasn't so much like that. It was just, what are my needs today? What do I want today? How am I feeling today? And it would vary from month to month.
So did you do like the app type dating?
Yes, I've done it all.
And what has the response been? I mean, because you, this might sound like a really awful thing to say, but you got some baggage. So I can imagine that some people might be like, oh, I don't know how to deal with this person who's had this life that's been full of really crappy stuff.
Yeah. And I'll be honest with you, a lot of it I don't share until I feel comfortable, until I feel like maybe there's some kind of connection or a potential for more. So I've probably shared my story with 3 people. Yeah.
Now it's more. Sorry.
Well, no, I mean men, like dating. Three guys total, probably 3 guys. Everyone else, I've been very vague, and I try to make it more about me and not, because I think dating as a widow is already intimidating because it's not a nasty breakup. You're not moving on to someone to get over someone. And in my experience, I feel like some men are a little intimidated by that, especially they're like, well, how long were you together? We were together for 19 years. And they're like, was it a happy marriage? And someone did ask me that one time. He said, well, was it a happy marriage? I'm like, why would you ask? Yes, it was blissful. He was amazing, and no one could ever compare to him.
You're not going to match up.
That ended that conversation really quick. But no, I don't always share that much information because I feel that sometimes men, they think, well, is she comparing me to her husband? Do I look like her husband? Because I will be honest, in the beginning, that was all that I was attracted to was my husband. So whenever I would swipe, I would find myself, I was literally swiping every man that looked like my husband until it just hit me. And then I thought, what if I meet this guy and he wants to see a picture of my husband and he's staring at himself?
Busted.
And he's like, I see how this goes. You don't even care about me. You're just trying to find a doppelganger.
Right?
I know this is an issue that we've talked about in the Widow Wives Club, and it's kind of a sticky wicket, is how upfront do you want to be? Do you want to get into the relationship before you get into these things, or do you want to be right up front and say, like, if you can't deal, you're out? And I don't know if there is an answer. I think it's, each person has to decide how they're going to deal with that. But I know that's an issue that a lot of people have to kind of figure out how they're going to deal with it. And it's so weird how dating is now, because it's like your picture and people decide whether or not they like you based on, 3 sentences and what you look like.
Yeah. Yeah. I like the apps that do give you an option to say that you're a widow. But again, I don't think men look at that or read it.
What apps do that?
Match.com. It has an option to say that you're a widow.
Interesting.
Did you guys know that there's, because I'm in the App Store, did you know there's something called Dating a Widower, an app?
To date a widower?
No.
What?
It says Dating a Widower. Well, it only has 2 stars and 19 reviews, but it's for widowers, I guess, and widows, and it says find widows in your area. I think that you should try it and tell us how it goes. Except for I'm kind of scared that it has 2 stars.
No, I can't do that again because my first match date on Match was with a widower.
Tell us everything that you want.
Okay. So first of all, I thought he was hot. And he didn't look anything like my husband. So I said, I'm going for it. We met, we had coffee, and it was, I think we talked for about 3 or 4 hours. I cried, he cried. It felt like a really good therapy session. And so then we ended up chatting, and his wife had only just passed away 6 months before. And he was just lonely, which is fine because I was there at that point too. I understood. Then we met again we went bowling. And of course, I didn't tell him about my eye, and bowling, not the best thing. Although I did get a strike one time, but I was absolutely horrible. And I can't remember if it was the second date or the third date. And here I am thinking, oh, this is going good. He says, I'm not interested in you. He said, I want someone that's more like my wife, and like physically and everything. So he was Greek, she was Greek. So he wanted something that was more traditional and physical attributes of his wife, which was perfectly fine. Was I a little heartbroken? Yeah, I took a little hit to the ego. I'm like, I can't even get a date, and then I can't even get a date with another widow.
But you did the same thing. You were looking for your husband, and he was looking for his wife. So
yeah, so I had already been in that stage.
I just want to point out, though, that something good came out of this. You did get a strike.
Yeah, but we are still friends today, and we still meet up, and we still chat, and we still have coffee, and I still think he's absolutely not interested in any other thing than a friendship.
Is he finding someone for him? Like, are there people out there that actually look like his wife that he's found?
Well, yeah, actually he did meet another girl, but then it didn't work out. And so he comes back, he goes to meet her in Greece. Now I feel like I shouldn't tell him about this podcast. So he goes to meet her, and I was very excited for him because he really liked her. And then it didn't work out, and then he calls me, well, he messages, and he's like, hey, let's go have dinner. And he said, I'll tell you all about it. And he'd already told me that he didn't, like, there wasn't any chemistry, like he wasn't feeling like it was gonna work out. And I thought, yes, here it is. Here's my chance. We've been friends for at least a year now. It didn't work out with her. He's calling me to have dinner. He's going to tell me the whole time I was with her, I was thinking about you, and you're the one. And I get there. No, it's just dinner. And he tells me all about his vacation.
Aww.
Yep. Yeah.
have you had any other successes and or failures and or great stories that have come of the widow dating life?
Oh, I've had lots of failures. I've done it all. I've done just the casual thing, just, the dating thing, friends with benefits thing, and nothing ever panned out. And I do take full responsibility of all of those situationships. Not that I blame myself, but I take responsibility for it because I know where I'm at, and I don't always share everything. So the other person doesn't always know. And I feel like when I'm not completely honest with somebody, maybe that is why those things don't work out or go very well. But so I did meet this one guy about a year after my husband passed away. It was right before the 1-year anniversary. And I met him at my brother-in-law's house. my brother-in-law was having a birthday party. So of all places to meet someone, that's where I meet this guy. And so I see him getting out of a Jeep with a girl. And as soon as I saw him, I thought, "Ooh, who is this? I've never seen him here, you know?" And then, but then he was with a girl, and I thought, well, I mean, I'm not here to meet anyone, but I just couldn't help but notice how attractive he was. And I did keep looking, like I couldn't stop looking. But every time I was looking, he was looking at me. Then I was feeling uncomfortable because who is this guy? And I even asked my brother-in-law, and I said, "What's that guy?" He said, "I don't know. He's here with Christy." And I'm like, okay. So the whole night, this guy keeps staring at me. And so I'm walking inside, and the girl Christy stops me, and he's there. And she's like, "Hey, Rebecca, how are you?" And I'm like, "Good, how are you?" And she goes, "I'm Christy." And I'm like, "Yeah, Clark was telling me." And she said, "So you're Clark's sister-in-law?" And I said, "Yeah." She goes, "You're married to which brother?" And I said, "The dead one." Right? And she said,
Yeah.
"Oh, Tom."
Shock 'em
and
early.
I said, "Yeah." And she said, "Okay." She said, and there was like, I mean, she brought it up casually, but that was the gist of it. And she said, "Well, I want you to meet my husband." I'm like, here he goes. She's with this fine ass man. He keeps staring at me all night. And she turns to a completely different person standing on the other side of her. So she introduces me to her husband, and I'm like shocked. And then she said, "And this is my friend Muhammad." And I'm like, in my head, "Hello, Muhammad." We started talking, and it was just so surreal. Like the conversation was just me and him, like no one else. And they just walked away. And I didn't even realize it, but we had been standing there in the same spot on the porch for hours, just talking. And I didn't even realize it until someone came up to me and they said, "Hey, Rebecca, are you good?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm good." Then my sister-in-law came up to me and she said, "Hey, you okay?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm okay." She goes, "I'm just checking." She said, "Did you eat?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I ate." And then next thing you know, he leans in like he's gonna kiss me. And I back up. I'm like, "Whoa, what are you doing?" He said, I wanted to kiss you. Is that okay?" And I'm like, "No, it's not okay." He said, "Why not?" I said, "We're at my brother-in-law's house." He's like, "And?" And I'm like, "My dead husband and his family? No, you can't kiss me." And I said, "But we can go somewhere."
So did you?
Yes, we did. And he was here visiting from Egypt, and he was just here for the summer, and it was and he was great. I actually shared everything with him. I shared about my husband, I shared about my cancer. He actually became really good friends with my brother-in-law. They were even hanging out. We had a couple of cookouts, some family dinners. I introduced him to my family. He came to some of my family's functions. Everyone loved him. I mean, and even still do. I mean, everyone was in love with him. I mean, including me. But I was really struggling with still the loss of my husband. And he wanted to know everything about Tom. He wanted to know about our marriage. He wanted to know what type of person he was. And I just thought that was, I mean, the most amazing thing. Even on the anniversary day, that morning, that night I couldn't sleep. So I went to my mom's, and when I left there, he said, come with me. He said, I'm going to spend the whole day with you. He said, you're not going to be alone on this whole day. He said, I'll take care of you. And that was great. I mean, he hit like all the boxes, and I was struggling with my feelings because I was like, is this really love? Like, am I really in love? Like, how does this happen? Like, my husband's only been gone for a year. Can I really fall in love that fast? Like, are you supposed to do that? Can you do that? So I really struggled, even with all the support from my friends and family about the relationship. I didn't allow myself to be fully invested because he was leaving. He was from another country. So he was from Egypt, and he went back to Egypt, and that was my summer romance.
Well, is he gonna come back ever? Because he sounds great and more time has passed.
He got married.
No!
Yeah, he got married.
Dang
Yeah.
it.
Come on.
I mean, good for him, but bad for you. I have a question, Rebecca.
Yeah.
How old was your son when Tom died?
Marquise is 27 now, so
Like
4 years.
Yeah, early 20s?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
How has he reacted to you opening up and dating again? Has he been supportive? It sounds like Tom's family has been really supportive, which is nice, and your friends. How did he react when you were going to start seeing other people?
Well, before Muhammad, no one knew that I was dating.
You are a sneaky, sneaky lady.
Well, I was in the lonely stage of grief dating, where I just wanted someone to have a physical connection with. I just wanted a physical connection. I just wanted a moment where I wasn't alone. So whether it was fake or, whatever, it didn't matter. For, that brief moment, I didn't feel alone. So no one knew that I was doing that except for my best friend. So no one knew that I was dating, and I wouldn't have really called it dating, but I guess it was. Muhammad was a complete accident, and everyone did seem happy for me. My son, in the beginning, I don't think he cared for him in the beginning, but the more we all spent time together, I think he saw, how sincere he was and how nice he was. And it was even after Muhammad left, Marquise looked at me one day. He said, "You should have married him." And I said, "What?" He said, "You should have married him." He said, "You should have just done it." And I'm like, really? I'm like, now they all tell me you should have just married him. But then even after that, I've never really, I tell my family I'm dating, but I don't know how much they know that I'm actually active in doing it. But everyone does support me. And my son, ultimately, he wants me to be happy. He doesn't want me to be alone. He's probably tired of me asking him for dates all the time.
Oh, that's cute. I have a question. What advice, now that you're 4 years out and you've been dating for about 3-ish years, what advice would you give to your 1-year dating self right now? No. What advice as you now would you give to your dating self when you first started? Okay, good.
It made sense.
Yeah. Be more open. Because I could have potentially met someone that could have been someone, and I didn't give anyone an opportunity. I shut it down quickly. I would say be more honest, be more open. I think now where I'm at, if I am honest with someone and I can tell someone, if I can give somebody the highlights and they don't think, oh my God, she's damaged, she's got so much trauma, I can't deal with that. I feel like those are good indicators of a person's character. So yeah, I would just say be more honest, be more open.
Thank you.
I appreciate that you're telling us your stories that that have kind of gone through the spectrum of the different types of dating, because, and we haven't talked about this a lot on the podcast. This is maybe something a lot of people are not super comfortable talking about in a public way during certain parts of their lives, but there is a very, very common feeling that widows want to be with a person. They miss the physical touch of the person. They miss all of those things. Is there anything that you would like to say about that? Because that's a really common thing. It's just something that people keep to themselves normally.
I mean, yeah, I would just say, through like all this dating and me feeling like I'm just doing something wrong, or I just don't understand how dating is now. And I think COVID has also affected that. I actually did sign up for a dating coach. And
Cool.
one of the things that she has said, because, I told her, I said, I feel like just in general in dating, like sleeping around and then doing it as a widow, like in the beginning or however, everything for me always still seems to come back to being a widow. And one of the things that she told me is when I would tell her, I would feel bad about myself for sleeping with a guy just because I didn't want to be lonely. And she said, but why? And I'm like, because you're not supposed to do that. And she said, who says? And I said, everybody. And she goes, but those are just beliefs. She said, beliefs are just things that you've been taught. And she's like, it's okay to be casual. She goes, if you're casual with a purpose. And her just telling me that just reiterated that I think my beliefs about being a widow has really affected my relationships after my husband passed away. So in the beginning, I was lonely, but what's the standard? I think I read somewhere that you should wait a year after your husband dies to be with someone else or something, and in some cultures, they only give you like a 4-month grieving process. And then all of a sudden you're married to the next person. Like you don't even get that time. And for me, I had this widow stigmatism. And so I felt like I had to keep things secret. And, I was lonely. And what would people think about me if I said, well, I'm just hooking up with these guys because I'm lonely? What does that say? Why, I was ashamed of that. And in honesty, if I look back now, I mean, if I knew what I knew now, I wouldn't be ashamed of that, because that was something that I was going through. And I think that's a part of being a widow. You get lonely. And I don't think people understand that enough, the loneliness. I mean, you're in your house, your kids are gone, your husband is gone, and everyone around you is coupled up or married, and you're like the perpetual third wheel, and you just want someone to hold you. And sometimes it doesn't even have to be about sex, but I mean, how many guys are you going to say, will you just come lay in the bed and hold me? Not many are going to do that, but I would be less embarrassed And I don't think other widows should be embarrassed by that, because that's just what you're going to go through. And that's also things that you're going to learn about yourself. It's what you're going to learn about what you might want in a potential partner. And you don't just have to have random sex. I mean, you can have conversations and you can be friends and you can get to know someone and learn. But when you do that, you also learn about yourself. And I think that's an important thing too, because I learned about myself as a widow, and I learned about myself as a woman, and I learned about beliefs and my structure of life and how I could change those things. And all of those experiences have led me to where I'm at now, and I wouldn't change them.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting. Like Mel said, this is a really common phase. It has some really funny names. And I don't even know if we should call it a phase, but
Widho,
the Widho, or the Widow's Fire. At Camp Widow, they actually had a whole class about this, and Tanya Villanueva Tepper taught it, and oh my gosh, she's so funny about it. But yeah, there's a spectrum of this too. You know, some people don't have that experience, and a lot of people do have that experience. And it's like you were saying, there's this belief system that we have that one way's right or one way's wrong, one way's shameful, one way's not. And just like all of widowing, there's not a right way to do it or a wrong way to do it. So I love that you're being a little bit compassionate towards yourself and saying, you know, I wouldn't feel like I was needing to be embarrassed about wanting to be important and to be touched by somebody and to not be the third wheel. I think we've all felt that.
Yeah.
Isn't it so interesting how becoming a widow breaks you open and then smashes all the pieces and then lights it on fire? But then these strange, quote, gifts we get, like learning about ourselves or learning how to be more open or learning, oh, here's what my beliefs have been my whole life, and here's something that's causing me to face that belief now in a different situation. Like, definitely an opportunity for growth, which not that we ever wanted it, but I think that you are inspiring, Rebecca, and we want to thank you so much for sharing your story, for being open about it. I know a lot of widows that aren't comfortable yet talking about dating or even thinking about dating are going to appreciate this and you. And you're in the Widow Wives Club, correct?
Yes, I am.
So anyone, if you need to start a conversation, Rebecca's in there.
I am in there, yes.
We're volunteering her to be your new BFF about dating.
I could not help, Mel, when you said it breaks you open. And I was like, and in Rebecca's case, it even broke her eyeball.
Oh my gosh. I thought you were going to go somewhere else with that.
No.
I thought she was too.
No. Now I'm trying to think where you guys are going.
Anita has a pure mind.
I just not about your eyeball.
Since you have such a pure mind, Anita, I'm going to let you ask the last question.
Rebecca.
Yes.
What is your favorite cheese?
Queso fresco.
Ooh.
That's it. That's one I don't think we've gotten an answer, but that's a good one.
I love it.
I love it.
Now I feel hungry. Rebecca, thank you so much for joining us and being open about your crazy and wild story. We really appreciate that. And we hope that you guys will join us in the Widow Wives Club. It's a private group on Facebook. Make sure you answer all of the questions. If you'd like to keep the podcast going, consider becoming one of our patrons on patreon.com/WWDN.
If you'd like to buy us tacos, please go to buymeacoffee.com/widowwedonoww.
With queso fresco.
Yes.
Yes. And until we talk to you again, I'm Anita.
I'm Mel.
And I'm Rebecca.
And we're two young widows and one widow who is the cheapest date possible. And we're all just trying to figure out, widow,
We
do
now. Rebecca, we'll take you on a cheap date if we ever get to meet you in person.
Yes, lemon heads all around, all for all.
This is my favorite thing to discuss with you.
Tell me, what is it?
One of my favorite things. I do enjoy tacos and cheese and dogs. This is about how you cannot pay hundreds and hundreds of dollars for a phone plan, especially when you're a widow, your person is dead, you might have kids, you might need another option, and you just want your phone to work, you want unlimited texting and service, and you want it to be like $25 a month.
It blows my mind that they have plans that start at $15 a month. That is so cheap. And the cool thing is it uses other 5G networks, and so you don't have to pay extra for that, and you still get great service.
Yep, Anita and I have traveled all over, and I have used my phone. So I highly recommend it. And my mom's even on it. When my dad died, we put his phone down to the cheapest plan, which is $15 a month. And I think my mom's on the $20 a month plan, and it's so worth it. It's so much cheaper than what we were all paying before. So I highly recommend it if you're on a budget or not. Who cares? Ryan Reynolds is in charge of the company, and they send you free stickers with Ryan Reynolds temporary tattoos. It's kind of the best. So if somebody wants to sign up, what can they do, Anita?
Go to trymintmobile.com/WWDN. Seriously, you guys, such a great idea. Save yourself some money.
And if you're worried about losing data or having any changes with your phone, not going to happen. They walk you through it. Everything's fine. It's the easiest process of all time. Again, that's
trymintmobile.com/WWDN.